Lieutenant Jessica Mitchell's fingers danced across the holographic display of Earth's Orbital Defense Station Sentinel. The midnight shift was usually quiet, perfect for running diagnostics on the quantum communication array. She paused to glance at the photo tucked into the corner of her workstation. Her sister Rachel's smiling face in a mining suit posed against the backdrop of Luna's Copernicus colony. "How's my favorite space traffic controller?" Rachel's message scrolled across Jessica's personal screen. "Just finished a double shift at the Helium-3 facility. You wouldn't believe the efficiency improvements we've made with the new quantum-guided extraction systems." Jessica smiled, typing back, "Probably about as exciting as watching Earth's satellite network for anomalies. At least one of us is doing something useful for humanity's future." The alert came without warning. First, it was just a blip, an unknown energy signature at the edge of lunar orbit, then another, and another. The system's artificial intelligence flagged them as potentially hostile. But that had to be wrong. No alien species had ever shown aggression toward Earth or its colonies. Unidentified vessels. This is Earth Orbital Defense Station Sentinel. You have entered restricted space. Please identify yourselves and state your purpose. Jessica broadcast, following standard first contact protocols. The response came in perfect English, dripping with contempt. "We are the Zextheri Dominion. Your species has stumbled upon quantum communication technology that you have no right to possess. Consider this a demonstration of the consequences of refusing to share with your betters." Jessica's blood ran cold as the alien ships accelerated toward the moon. "This is Lieutenant Mitchell issuing an emergency evacuation order for all lunar facilities. Hostile forces inbound. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." But it was too late. The Zextheri weapons weren't like anything in humanity's database. They didn't so much destroy as erase. Perfect spheres of lunar surface simply ceased to exist, taking with them habitation domes, mining equipment, and people. Jessica watched in horror as the quantum sensors registered the death toll climbing. 100, 250, 500, 847. Copernicus colony winked out of existence. Rachel's vital sign monitor flatlined. Jessica's hands trembled as she initiated the quantum-encrypted emergency channel to Earth Defense Command. "This is Lieutenant Mitchell. The lunar colonies are under attack. I repeat, the lunar colonies are under attack. 847 casualties confirmed. Enemy forces claim to be the Zextheri Dominion. They're demanding our quantum communication technology." The next hour passed in a blur of emergency protocols and damage assessments. Jessica maintained her composure, coordinating rescue efforts for the surviving colonies while tracking the Zextheri fleet's movements. Only when Admiral Cooper's face appeared on her screen did she allow herself to feel the full weight of what had happened. "Lieutenant," he said, his voice gentle but firm, "I understand your sister was stationed at Copernicus." "Yes, sir." Jessica's voice didn't waver. She was testing quantum-guided mining systems. The technology they're demanding. She helped develop it. Cooper nodded slowly. "The Zextheri have issued their ultimatum to Earth's governments. They believe we're primitive savages who stumbled upon quantum technology by accident. They're giving us 48 hours to surrender all research and development." Jessica's grip tightened on her console until a hairline crack appeared in the reinforced material. When she spoke, her voice was ice. "They think we're primitive, sir. Then let's play primitive. Let them think we're exactly what they expect. Scared, disorganized, and helpless. Meanwhile, we prepare a response that will make them regret ever hearing the word Earth." Admiral Cooper's expression shifted from sympathy to calculated interest. "What exactly are you suggesting, Lieutenant?" "Permission to speak freely, sir." At his nod, she continued, "They attacked without warning. Killed civilians. My sister. But they also revealed 3 critical weaknesses. They're arrogant. They've completely underestimated us. And they have no idea what humanity does to those who harm our own." The Admiral studied her for a long moment. Report to Earth Defense Command at 800 hours. Lieutenant Mitchell, it seems we have some planning to do. He paused, then added, and Lieutenant, we will make them pay. Not just for the colonies, but for racial. Earth remembers its own. As the communication ended, Jessica looked once more at her sister's photo. They want to see primitive? She whispered. We'll show them just how dangerous primitive can be. Admiral James Cooper stood before the United Earth Defense Council, his weathered face a masterpiece of calculated submission. The chambers, buried deep within Mount Cheyenne, buzzed with barely contained fury as representatives from every nation watched footage of the lunar colony attacks. The Zextheri Dominion's technological superiority is considerable, Cooper stated, his voice carrying just the right tremor of fear. Their matter erasure weapons alone represent capabilities far beyond our current understanding. I recommend we carefully consider their demands regarding our quantum communication technology. In the viewing gallery, Lieutenant Mitchell dug her nails into her palms. She'd seen this side of Cooper before, during the Mars crisis. The more reasonable he sounded, the more dangerous his actual plans became. And what of our dead? The Chinese representative's voice cracked with emotion. 847 civilians. Murdered. Cooper bowed his head. Which is why we must be prudent. Cautious. We cannot risk further casualties. He gestured to the holographic display showing the Zextheri fleet's position. Their ships remain in lunar orbit, watching. Waiting. We must appear compliant. Deep below the council chambers, Major Emily Hawthorne received the coded signal she'd been waiting for. Her team occupied a forgotten Cold War facility, its existence erased from official records decades ago. The air smelled of ozone and coffee as her fingers flew across specialized, quantum-encrypted terminals. Operation Dark Mirror is go, she murmured, initiating startup sequences that hadn't been touched since their installation. Wake up, my sleeping beauties. Across the solar system, hundreds of seemingly defunct satellites stirred to life. Launched under the guise of failed missions during the previous century's space race, these probes had been playing dead, gathering dust and data. Each carried prototype quantum sensors, waiting for this exact moment. Stealth Systems Holding, her second in command, Lieutenant Commander Jack Reynolds, reported. The Zextheri aren't registering any activity. Probes Charlie through Echo are successfully mapping their fleet movements. Hawthorne allowed herself a small smile. The best trap is the one laid decades before anyone knew they needed it. Our paranoid ancestors knew someday we'd need eyes everywhere. Start cataloging every energy signature, every communication burst, every supply line. Back in the council chambers, Cooper continued his performance. The Zextheri have generously offered to supervise our technological development moving forward. They believe we need guidance. Guidance. Lieutenant Mitchell couldn't contain her scoff, drawing sharp looks from nearby observers. Cooper's eyes flicked to her momentarily, carrying a clear message. Play your part. Yes, guidance, Cooper continued smoothly. They've offered to station supervisory forces in our major cities, for our own protection, of course. The council erupted in outrage, exactly as planned. While they argued about occupation terms, Hawthorne's team worked furiously below. The quantum probe network was revealing patterns, supply chains, communication hubs, and most importantly, weaknesses. Major, Reynolds called out, Probe Lima just picked up something interesting. Their ships are running regular supply cycles to automated mining facilities in their home system. Massive operations, all AI-controlled. Hawthorne's eyes narrowed. Their entire war machine runs on automated resource collection. That's either brilliant or a single point of failure, Reynolds finished. If someone were to, say, introduce some interesting new instructions into those AI systems, send everything to Admiral Cooper. Priority Channel. Hawthorne turned to her team. Ladies and gentlemen, while the politicians play scared upstairs, we're going hunting. I want to know every detail about those mining eyes. Their code, their protocols, their weaknesses, everything. As the data flowed in, Cooper wrapped up his address to the council. We have 48 hours to prepare our response to the Zextheri demands. I suggest we use this time to organize our surrender properly. The council chambers cleared slowly, representatives muttering about humanity's darkest hour. Only Lieutenant Mitchell remained, approaching Cooper once they were alone. "Sir," she said quietly, "the probe network." Cooper's submissive mask vanished, replaced by steel. Fully operational. Major Hawthorne is already mapping their entire empire. Now we know not just where to strike, but how. He straightened his uniform. "You were right, Lieutenant. They think we're primitive, so primitive is what we'll show them. Right up until the moment we prove just how advanced humanity's capacity for revenge truly is." Mitchell nodded, thinking of Rachel. "They won't even see it coming, will they, sir?" "No, Lieutenant. They won't. Because the most dangerous enemy isn't the one who beats their chest and roars. It's the one who smiles, bows, and quietly prepares to strike." Dr. Marcus Reynolds stared at the holographic display until his eyes burned. The hidden facility beneath the Arizona desert hummed with the sound of quantum processors working overtime. 3 days of non-stop analysis had revealed something impossible. The Zextheri military communications followed musical patterns. "It's like they're composing symphonies," he muttered, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. "Every transmission, every command sequence, it all follows Earth's classical music theory." His team of cryptographers had been working around the clock, feeding intercepted alien communications through a modified version of their quantum decryption software. The breakthrough came when Sarah, his lead analyst, noticed similarities between Zextheri command frequencies and Back's mathematical patterns. "Dr. Reynolds." Sarah burst into his office, tablet in hand. "We just decoded a full tactical briefing. The Zextheri. They're not just arrogant, they're desperate. Their entire empire is built on a lie." Meanwhile, on the surface of Mars, Captain Derek "Ghost" Thompson pressed himself against the crimson rocks as another Zextheri patrol passed overhead. His chameleon suit, a prototype from Earth's Quantum Research Division, bent light around him perfectly. The aliens had no idea they'd had a human observer in their midst for the past 72 hours. "Ghost to Shadowbox," he sub-vocalized, his quantum communicator transmitting directly to Earth. "You're not going to believe what I'm seeing. Their outpost isn't just a military installation. It's a backup control center for their mining network." In her underground command center, Major Hawthorne's voice crackled back. "Confirm, Ghost. What kind of access levels are we looking at?" Thompson allowed himself a grim smile as he watched Zextheri technicians move between control panels. "Full administrative. They're so confident in their superiority that they don't even encrypt their local networks. I'm watching them input commands right now. Everything's displayed in the open." Back in Arizona, Dr. Reynolds assembled his findings for an emergency briefing. The quantum display showed a complex web of interconnected systems spanning the Zextheri empire. Their entire civilization runs on automated resource collection, he explained to the assembled military leadership. But here's the beautiful part. They didn't develop the AI themselves. They stole it. Admiral Cooper leaned forward. Stole it from whom? A species they encountered centuries ago. The original creators built in backdoors, fail-safes in case their technology was ever misused. Reynolds smiled. The Zextheri never found them. But we did, hidden in their musical transmission patterns. The original species wrote their fail-safes into the very mathematics of their system. Lieutenant Mitchell, attending via quantum projection, felt her pulse quicken. "Can we use these backdoors?" "Better." Reynolds brought up a new display showing lines of alien code. "We can own them. Their entire mining network, every automated facility, every resource shipment. We can take control of everything." They'd been running an empire on borrowed technology they never fully understood. On Mars, Thompson had worked his way deeper into the facility. The Zextheri's overconfidence was staggering. They'd never conceived that someone could infiltrate their outpost. Their security consisted entirely of automated systems, all connected to the same network they used to control their mining operations. "Shadowbox, I'm plugging in now," he whispered, connecting a quantum interface to their local network. "Beginning data transfer. You should be receiving their complete command protocols." Major Hawthorne's team worked frantically to process the incoming data. The pieces were falling into place. Dr. Reynolds' decryption, Thompson's infiltration, and the probe network's intelligence all painted a clear picture. The Zextheri Empire was a house of cards, built on stolen technology and maintained through fear. "Found their jugular," Thompson transmitted as he began his extraction. "These bastards aren't just vulnerable. They're one system crash away from total collapse." In Arizona, Reynolds prepared to transmit his findings to Earth's Defense Council. "We have everything we need," he announced. "Their entire empire runs on automated systems they can barely understand, let alone protect. They thought they were the masters of their stolen technology. Instead, they've handed us the keys to their kingdom." Lieutenant Mitchell's hologram smiled coldly. "Time to show them what happens when you underestimate humanity's ability to understand, adapt, and overcome." Rachel would have appreciated the irony. They demanded our quantum technology, never realizing we'd use their own against them instead. Admiral Cooper nodded decisively. "Initiate Phase 4. It's time to deliver our surrender to the Zextheri homeworld. Let's see how their stolen empire handles some real human ingenuity." Commander Alexandra Lexi Parker stood on the bridge of the U.S. Trojan Horse, her pristine uniform and rigid posture painting the perfect picture of a defeated officer. The diplomatic vessel approached the Zextheri homeworld, its white hull gleaming under the light of 3 suns. Behind her carefully neutral expression, she fought back a smile. "Zextheri Control, this is Commander Parker of the Earth vessel Trojan Horse," she transmitted, letting just the right amount of fear creep into her voice. "Requesting permission to approach with our submission package." Below decks, Ryan O'Connor's fingers danced across quantum-encrypted terminals. The tech specialist had spent the past week perfecting what he called the most elegant virus ever written. Unlike traditional malware, this code was built using the same musical patterns the Zextheri had stolen for their empire's foundation. "How's our package looking?" Commander Parker sub-vocalized through their secure internal comm system. O'Connor grinned as he made final adjustments. "Beautiful, Commander. Use their own mathematical symphonies against them. Once this starts spreading through their network, it'll look exactly like normal operations. They won't know anything's wrong until it's far too late." The Zextheri response came quickly. "Earth vessel, maintain your current approach vector. Prepare for inspection teams. Any deviation will result in immediate destruction." "Understood, Control." Parker gestured to her bridge crew, all hand-picked Special Forces operators disguised as regular naval personnel. "Places, everyone. Look nervous, look defeated, but most importantly, look harmless." The boarding party arrived in a flash of quantum teleportation. 6 Zextheri warriors, their crystalline armor gleaming, materialized on the bridge. Their leader, Sub-Commander Vexnor, stood nearly 8 feet tall. "You bring the quantum communication technology." The alien's voice resonated with disdain. Parker bowed her head submissively. "Yes, Sub-Commander. All our research, all our developments. Everything you demanded." She gestured to a secured case on the bridge. "We hope this demonstrates Earth's willingness to accept guidance." In the ship's core, O'Connor watched through hidden cameras as the aliens began their inspection. Their arrogance was staggering. They didn't even scan below the obvious security protocols. The virus, hidden in the quantum harmonics of the ship's background systems, went completely unnoticed. "Sir," one of the Zextheri inspectors reported, "the quantum signatures match their known technological level. Everything appears to be within expected parameters." Vexnor made a sound of contempt. "At least these primitives know their place. Begin transfer of the technology. Once verified, We will grant them their promised protection." Parker kept her expression neutral, but her mind raced through the calculations. The virus needed 15 minutes to fully integrate with their systems. She had to keep them talking. "Sub-Commander," she ventured carefully, "my crew and I, we have questions about our future role. How will Earth benefit from Zextheri guidance?" The alien commander launched into a condescending explanation of how they would elevate humanity's primitive civilization. Every word dripped with superiority. Every gesture displayed their absolute confidence in their dominance. O'Connor's voice whispered in her earpiece, "Virus successfully uploaded to their primary networks. It's spreading through their quantum channels exactly as planned. Estimate full integration in 3 minutes." Parker listened to Vexner's monologue with practiced humility, counting down the seconds. Right on schedule, a subtle chime in her quantum implant signaled success. Their musical virus had found its way into the Zextheri's core systems, ready to begin its symphony of destruction. "Your wisdom honors us, Sub-Commander," Parker said, bowing deeply. "Earth looks forward to a long and productive relationship with the Dominion." The aliens departed, taking the case of surrendered technology with them. As soon as they quantum jumped away, Parker's demeanor transformed. "Status report." O'Connor's laugh echoed through the comm. "They bought it completely, Commander. Virus is nestled deep in their systems, spreading through their entire network. They're so convinced of their superiority that they didn't even notice we used their own stolen music against them." "Send word to Admiral Cooper," Parker ordered, her diplomatic mask falling away to reveal the predatory smile beneath. "Phase 4 complete. Tell him the Zextheri just invited the fox into their henhouse, and we brought one hell of a feeding frenzy with us." As the Trojan horse began its departure burn, Parker watched the gleaming spires of the Zextheri capital. Soon those towers would be orchestrating a very different kind of music, the sound of an empire crumbling under the weight of its own stolen technology. Supreme Commander Vexlon of the Zextheri Dominion stared at the holographic displays surrounding his command throne. His crystalline features twisted in confusion. Something was wrong with the numbers. The automated mining facility's production reports showed subtle discrepancies. Nothing major, just millisecond delays in quantum transmission times, slight variations in resource allocation algorithms. "High technologist," he called to his subordinate. "Explain these anomalies." The smaller alien examined the data streams with growing concern. "Supreme Commander, the variations appear to be mathematical corrections. The system is apparently optimizing itself, but I don't understand the underlying patterns." Deep within the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Michael "Mike" Blackwood watched the chaos unfold through quantum-tapped feeds. His cyber warfare team had nicknamed their operation the greatest heist in human history, and the name was proving appropriate. They weren't just stealing resources, they were conducting a symphony of systematic theft on a galactic scale. "Status report," he ordered, pacing between stations where operators guided the virus's spread through the Zextheri network. "Sir, O'Connor's virus is performing beyond expectations," Lieutenant Sarah Martinez reported, her fingers dancing across quantum interfaces. "It's not just redirecting resources, it's rewriting their entire logistics network. Every time their systems try to detect the intrusion, the virus presents perfectly valid mathematical proofs for its actions." On her own station, Lieutenant Mitchell watched the tactical display light up as vast streams of quantum-tagged resources began flowing through hidden channels. "They're bleeding resources faster than they can mine them," she observed with grim satisfaction. "How long until they notice?" Blackwood checked the master timeline. "They're already noticing. But that's part of the plan. Right now, they think they're dealing with a system optimization gone wrong. By the time they realize it's an attack, their entire supply chain will be compromised." In the Zextheri command center, alarms began to sound. Vexlon's throne room filled with increasingly panicked subordinates as reports flooded in from across their empire. "Supreme Commander," a junior technologist burst in. The Kuiper Belt facilities are reporting major discrepancies in mineral shipments. Multiple cargo vessels have diverted from their programmed routes. Vexilon rose from his throne, his crystalline armor catching the light. Impossible. The automation protocols are absolute. They'd functioned perfectly for centuries. Sir, the high technologist interrupted. I'm detecting unusual patterns in the system's base code. They appear to be musical signatures. Back in the mountain facility, Blackwood received word from Commander Parker's Trojan horse. Phase 4 delivery confirmed successful, he announced to his team. Time to show them what we can really do. Execute Operation Crescendo. Martinez initiated the virus's second stage. The musical patterns hidden in the Zextheri's stolen code began to shift, transforming from subtle background noise into a dominant force. Throughout the alien empire, automated systems began to dance to Earth's tune. Sir, Mitchell called out, the Zextheri fleet preparing to attack Earth has just lost access to their supply lines. Their quantum fuel reserves are being redirected to our hidden depots in the Orc cloud. Blackwood allowed himself a small smile. Send word to Admiral Cooper. Tell him Phase 5 is ahead of schedule. The Zextheri are about to learn why you don't threaten a species that turned paranoia into an art form. On the main display, they watched as the Zextheri command structure descended into chaos. Supply ships changed course mid-flight. Manufacturing facilities began producing components to unknown specifications. The Empire's perfectly ordered systems splintered under the weight of human ingenuity. Colonel, Mitchell said quietly, incoming transmission from Lunar Defense Command. They've confirmed that all redirected resources are being processed through the automated facilities we seized. We're not just stealing their supplies, we're using their own factories to build our revenge. Vexilon's voice thundered through their intercepted communications. Find the source of this corruption. The primitives cannot possibly be responsible. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Blackwood's response, though unheard by the aliens, carried the weight of humanity's collective anger. No, Commander, we're not behind you. We're so far ahead that you mistook our patience for weakness. And now you'll learn what happens when humanity decides to stop playing nice. As reports of system failures cascaded through the Zextheri Empire, Mitchell watched the tactical displays with cold satisfaction. This is for you, Rachel, she whispered. They thought they could break us. Instead, we're going to break their entire empire, one quantum encrypted node at a time. General Laura Winters stood in Earth's primary defense center, watching as the Zextheri fleet approached in a desperate bid to regain control. Their ships, sleek crystalline structures that normally glowed with power, now pulsed erratically as they struggled with dwindling quantum fuel reserves. They're scared, she observed to her command staff. For the first time in centuries, they're facing an enemy they don't understand. The massive holographic display showed thousands of Zextheri warships forming attack patterns. Supreme Commander Vexilon's transmission blazed across all frequencies. Primitives, you dare corrupt our sacred systems. Your pathetic attempts at resistance end now. Surrender your planet, or we will reduce your civilization to atoms. Winters smiled. Lieutenant Chen, are the quantum grid satellites in position? Yes, General. All 300 defense platforms are synchronized and awaiting activation. The Zextheri still haven't detected them. The young officer's fingers danced across her console. They're completely focused on our visible orbital defenses. Very well. Winters opened a channel to Admiral Cooper. The stage is set, James. Time to show them what primitive really means. Cooper's hologram nodded. Give them a demonstration they'll never forget, Laura. Make it count. The Zextheri fleet launched their first wave of attacks. Matter erasure beams lanced toward Earth's orbital defense stations, the same weapons that had devastated the lunar colonies. But this time, humanity was ready. Quantum defense grid, activate. Winters commanded. Execute Protocol Prometheus. Across Earth orbit, hundreds of seemingly innocent satellites shed their stealth fields. Each one contained a quantum entanglement core, technology far beyond what humanity had surrendered to the Zex theory. The satellites linked together, creating a web of pure quantum energy that enveloped the planet. The alien weapons hit the grid and vanished, not deflected, not absorbed, but completely integrated into Earth's quantum defense network. The Zex theory fleet faltered, their superior weapons rendered useless. "What is this?" Vexlon's voice cracked with disbelief. "These are not the primitives we encountered weeks ago." Winters broadcast on all frequencies. "No, Commander. We're not primitives at all. We simply let you think we were. While you were gloating over our supposed submission, we were studying every aspect of your stolen technology and improving upon it." From his command center, Admiral Cooper added his own transmission. "You wanted our quantum tech. Congratulations, you're experiencing it firsthand. The technology we surrendered to you was a primitive prototype, decades old. Would you like to see what we've actually developed?" The quantum grid pulsed, and suddenly every Zexthera weapon system went dark. Their ships hung in space, trapped in a quantum entanglement loop of human design. Each attempt to break free only strengthened the effect. Lieutenant Mitchell's voice came through from the Lunar Defense Station. "General Winters, we're detecting massive power fluctuations in their fleet. The virus has reached their primary systems. They're losing control of everything. Weapons, life support, navigation." "Perfect." Winters turned to her tactical display. "Now let's show them what happens when you push humanity too far. Execute Phase 7. Across the solar system, hidden human strike forces emerged from quantum shadows. Each vessel carried weapons reverse-engineered from studying the Zex theory's own technology and improved upon by human ingenuity." "This is impossible," Vexlon broadcast, his arrogance finally cracking. "Your species, you were nothing. How did you achieve this level of advancement?" Cooper's response was cold. "We achieved it because you threatened us, because you killed our people, because you assumed that just because we chose peace, we were incapable of war. Your greatest mistake wasn't attacking Earth. It was giving us a reason to show you exactly what humanity is capable of when provoked." The quantum grid tightened around the Zex theory fleet like a net, each ship now completely at Earth's mercy. General Winters opened a final channel to all forces. Operation Checkmate is now in effect. The Zex theory wanted to see our true technology. Let's give them a demonstration they'll never forget. As Earth's ships moved into attack position, Winters thought of all the lives lost in the lunar colonies. "You should have learned your history," she transmitted to Vexlon. "Earth has faced empires before. None of them exist anymore. Welcome to your place in that tradition." Captain Derek "Ghost" Thompson stood on the bridge of the U.S. Nemesis, leading the assault fleet toward the Zex theory's primary military installation. The massive space station hung in orbit around their homeworld, its crystalline structure now dulled by powered fluctuations as O'Connor's virus continued its work. "All ships, battle formations," he ordered, watching as Earth's vessels emerged from quantum shadows. Each ship bristled with weapons built from stolen Zex theory resources, powered by the very quantum cores the aliens had demanded Earth surrender. Lieutenant Mitchell's voice came through the command channel from her position coordinating the attack from lunar defense. "Ghost, you've got 78 minutes before their backup systems engage. Make them count." "Oh, we will." Thompson looked at his tactical display, where Commander Parker's fleet had already moved to cut off all Zex theory escape routes. "Begin Phase 7, Operation Reckoning." The first shots weren't fired from guns. Instead, human ships broadcast precise quantum frequencies that shattered the Zex theory's crystalline armor like glass. The aliens had never conceived that their own technology could be turned against them with such devastating precision. Inside the Zex theory command station, Supreme Commander Vexlon watched in horror as his empire crumbled. "Impossible. Their ships are using harmonic resonance patterns we've never seen. That's because we invented them." Thompson's voice cut through their communications. "While you were laughing at our primitive technology, we were studying yours, learning its weaknesses, creating countermeasures you never imagined. The space around the station erupted in quantum fire. Human ships danced through the debris, their movements coordinated with inhuman precision by AI systems far more advanced than the stolen programs the Zextheri relied upon. "This is for the lunar colonies," Mitchell transmitted as another section of the station shattered. On her screens, she watched Zextheri ships attempting to flee, only to find themselves caught in Commander Parker's carefully laid trap. "No escape routes, no rescue coming," Parker broadcast to the trapped aliens. "Just like you gave our people no chance to surrender. How does it feel to be on the receiving end of superior technology?" Colonel Blackwood's voice joined the command channel. "Quantum virus has reached their central core. They've lost control of everything. Defense systems, life support, artificial gravity. They're running on emergency power only." Thompson led his strike team through the damaged station, their quantum-enhanced combat suits letting them pass through walls as if they were mist. The Zextheri defenders fired desperately, their weapons passing harmlessly through humans who seemed to phase in and out of reality. "We're approaching the Central Command Center," Thompson reported. "Supreme Commander Vexilon is still inside, trying to purge our virus from their systems." Mitchell's voice carried a cold satisfaction. "Remember, Ghost, we want him alive. He needs to witness everything his arrogance has cost his people." The final breach took less than 3 minutes. Thompson's team materialized inside the command center, their quantum-shifted states solidifying around the Zextheri leadership. Vexilon stood among his fallen empire's elite, his crystalline form dulled and cracked. "How?" the alien commander demanded. "You were nothing. Primitives playing with technology you couldn't understand." Thompson smiled behind his visor. "No, Commander. We understood everything. Every weakness in your stolen technology, every flaw in your tactical doctrine, every gap in your defenses. The only primitive here was your understanding of humanity. Outside, the battle, if it could even be called that, was ending. Parker's fleet had captured or destroyed every Zextheri vessel. The mighty empire that had threatened Earth lay in ruins, defeated in what historians would later call the 20-minute war. Lieutenant Mitchell's hologram appeared in the command center, walking straight through the quantum-locked Zextheri guards. She approached Vexilon, holding up a small holographic display showing her sister Rachel's image. "You killed 847 of our people," she said quietly. "People who had never harmed you. People who were peacefully mining resources you could have simply traded for. And for what? Because you thought we were beneath you." She turned to Thompson. "The quantum transmission network is ready. The entire galaxy is watching." Thompson nodded and activated his command channel. "Admiral Cooper, the primary military installation is secured. Supreme Commander Vexilon is in custody. Would you like to inform them of the terms of their surrender?" As Cooper's voice began detailing the complete dismantling of the Zextheri military, Mitchell looked at their fallen leader. "Remember this moment," she said. "Remember what happened when you provoked Earth, because we certainly won't forget." Colonel Michael Blackwood stood before the newly established Interstellar Security Council, the quantum-enhanced chamber humming with representatives from 20 different species. The former subjects of the Zextheri Empire had gathered on Earth, a planet that had gone from unknown backwater to galactic power in less than a month. "The transition period is proceeding as planned," he reported, gesturing to the holographic display showing the reformed territories. "Former Zextheri mining operations have been returned to their rightful owners, with new quantum oversight protocols in place to prevent future exploitation." Among the assembled delegates, a tall figure from the Centauri Coalition rose. "And what guarantees do we have that Earth won't simply become the new Zextheri? You possess technology that could dominate us all." Admiral Cooper stepped forward, his dress uniform gleaming under the chamber's lights. "Because unlike the Zextheri, we understand the difference between power and wisdom. We didn't defeat them through superior force. We did it by turning their own arrogance against them." Dr. Reynolds, now heading the Interstellar Technology Exchange, activated a secondary display showing the new quantum communication network. What we're proposing isn't domination, but collaboration. The network we've established allows instant communication across the galaxy, but it's built with distributed control. No single species can dominate it. In orbit above Earth, Lieutenant Mitchell, now Admiral Mitchell, watched the proceedings from the bridge of humanity's first purpose-built diplomatic vessel, the U.S. Harbinger. The ship represented everything Earth had learned from the conflict, powerful enough to defend itself, but designed primarily for peace. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "incoming transmission from the Zextheri rehabilitation zone." The face that appeared on her screen belonged to Vexka, a young Zextheri diplomat who had emerged as a voice of reform among her people. "Admiral Mitchell, the first phase of our societal reconstruction is complete. Our youth are struggling with the truth about our history." Mitchell's expression softened slightly. "Understanding that your civilization was built on theft and intimidation isn't easy, Vexka. But accepting that truth is the first step toward genuine advancement." Back in the council chamber, Commander Parker presented the final phase of Earth's proposal. The Galactic Concordat will establish clear guidelines for technological development and cultural exchange. No more stolen innovations, no more suppressed civilizations. Every species advances together, or we don't advance at all. A murmur of approval rippled through the chamber. Species that had lived under Zextheri oppression for centuries were experiencing true freedom for the first time. Their representatives approached the quantum signing matrix one by one, their genetic signatures binding them to the new accord. Colonel Blackwood watched the proceedings with satisfaction, remembering the frantic days of Operation Dark Mirror. "Think they'll ever realize," he whispered to Cooper, "that we developed most of our quantum technology in the 2 weeks after their attack?" Cooper smiled. "That's what makes humanity special, Michael. We don't just adapt, we revolutionize. The Zextheri gave us a puzzle to solve, and we created solutions they couldn't imagine." On the Harbinger, Mitchell received another transmission, this one from the Lunar Memorial, where 847 names were etched in quantum-stabilized crystal. "Rachel," she whispered, touching the holographic representation of her sister's name, "you would have loved seeing this. Your work on quantum mining systems helped make it all possible." The young Zextheri diplomat watched her reaction carefully. "You still mourn them." "We always will," Mitchell replied. "But we've turned that loss into something meaningful. Earth isn't just a planet anymore. We're the foundation of a new galactic society, one built on respect, not fear." As the council session concluded, representatives from across the galaxy mingled in Earth's grand reception hall. Former enemies became allies, sharing technology and culture freely for the first time in centuries. The quantum network hummed with translations in thousands of languages, each species contributing its unique perspective to the greater whole. Admiral Cooper raised his glass in a final toast. "To the future we're building, one where no species makes the mistake of underestimating another. And to those we lost, whose sacrifice showed us that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons, but our unwavering spirit when faced with impossible odds." Mitchell, watching from orbit, added her own quiet words. "And to all those who would provoke Earth in the future, remember this story. Remember how quickly we can rise, how thoroughly we can adapt, and how completely we can transform the galaxy when pushed too far." The stars seemed to shine brighter that night, as if acknowledging the dawn of a new era, one where humanity's reputation would forever carry a simple warning: provoke Earth at your own peril.